Some breaking Eagles news to get to on this Saturday. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for watching the show. Nick Sirianni just telling reporters at the NovaCare complex in Philadelphia that Darius Slay underwent arthroscopic knee surgery and is out indefinitely for Monday night's game against the Seattle Seahawks and is going to be out for a little while, but there is hope that he could return before the end of the regular season. Coming up on the show, what this means for Philadelphia, the ramifications of it, because as we know, this Eagles secondary has been horrendous over the last couple of weeks. First, this is why you subscribe to the channel, because when breaking Eagles news happens, I'm here to cover it for you, so make sure you lock us in and hit that sub button right now. So Nick Sirianni saying this morning that Darius Slay, who's been on the injury report, he missed some time earlier this year with the knee injury. It's really been something that's lingering and troublesome for him, underwent arthroscopic knee surgery. He is out for Eagles-Seahawks on Monday Night Football. And my instant reaction here, this is a huge loss for the Eagles defense. An Eagles defense and secondary specifically that has been struggling mightily, especially over the last two losses against the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. So you're without your top cornerback at a time where your defense is trying to really get it together and play some good football. And without Slay, it's going to be even more difficult to do that. Now, all throughout this week, there's been a lot of chatter about Sean Desai's scheme. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and he's not really putting players in positions to succeed. But when you're without a player of this caliber, and contrary to belief, I know there were fans outside of the NovaCare complex with Darius Slay signs on a trash can. He actually has played some really good football this year. So Philadelphia is really trying to get it together on the defensive side of the football. Darius Slay is one of your captains. He is your top cornerback, and you're going up against a Seattle Seahawks offense that has a lot of weapons at the wide receiver position and at the tight end position. And this is a Seattle team that is desperate for a win. Philadelphia is desperate for a win. And this defense statistically has been awful in basically every major statistical category, especially on third downs, on fourth downs, in the red zone, and you're going up against a couple of top-flight wide receivers without Slay. The good news here is that Slay's surgery is not expected to keep him out for the rest of the year. This is not a season-ending injury. It's more of a cleanup procedure because that injury has just been lingering for a little while, and he should be back before the end of the regular season. But the Eagles have lost back-to-back games. The defense and the secondary have just been sickening and abysmal with how they've played. They can't stop a nosebleed right now. And this Seattle team has DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Noah Fant. You have weapons that you're going up against on the outside, on the inside at wide receiver, and at that tight end spot. Seattle has lost 4 games in a row. They're trying to keep their heads above water to get back into the playoff hunt and stay in the playoff hunt. They're extremely desperate, and this Eagles team is desperate as well. Nick Sirianni declined to name who would replace Darius Slay. Keely Ringo last week against Dallas did play ahead and got those snaps ahead of Josh Jobe. We know that when he was in there, he had that double penalty on that one play, which was really just an indication of how bad things have been going for this Eagles team the last 2 weeks. The young cornerbacks are going to likely be the options, in my opinion, although there is another option where Philadelphia could move the veteran Bradley Roby to the outside from the slot. Sirianni did decline to say how long Slay was going to be out specifically, but again, the understanding is that it is going to be a short-term injury and he will be back before the end of the regular season. You look ahead after the Seattle game, you have the Giants, Cardinals, and Giants to round out the regular season. And that's an opportunity to stack some wins. You should go 3-0 during that stretch. But right now, you're currently the 5 seed because the Dallas Cowboys beat you last week. The San Francisco 49ers beat you the week before that. San Francisco has the tiebreaker over Philadelphia. Right now, Dallas has the tiebreaker over Philadelphia, and they're atop the division. That's why they're in that 2 spot. So the Eagles are in danger here of having to go from the number 1 seed in the NFC, which they were in control of really all year, to having to go on the road to take on the NFC South champion in the wild card round of the playoffs if they don't get things together. Dallas's remaining schedule is very difficult. They do have Buffalo, Miami, Detroit, Washington. We know that the Cowboys always choke in December as well as in January. So if they lose a couple, that'll open up a lane for the Eagles to win the division and get that better seed back. But it's weird how desperate things seem and how much drama there is around this organization right now when they are 10-3 a year after making it to the Super Bowl. The sky seems to be falling in Philadelphia right now, and this is another negative thing that's happening with this organization. As I said all throughout this week, trying to instill hope and positivity in Eagles fans, it can all change with the win against the Seahawks, but Philadelphia has not beaten Seattle since 2008. Again, Seattle is a team that is very desperate right now. It's not going to be an easy opponent, and you have to go on the road in a hostile environment without Darius Slay for an already really struggling secondary. More to get to. First, if you want to play daily fantasy sports, download the PrizePicks app. $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. It's daily fantasy sports made easy, and it's the best deal that any DFS app has to offer. So I'm going to throw that link down in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. A lot of really good selections and picks that you can roll with for Monday night. Eagles, Seahawks. We'll talk more about what PrizePicks has to offer over the next couple of days as well. But sign up, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Opportunity to win real money. Producer Chip and I, we've been on a heater. Slay this year. He's come under scrutiny, but he actually hasn't played like awful football. Against Dallas, he was actually really good. A couple of weeks ago, Seth Joyner questioned his effort with tackling, and that was more of a team-wide problem, in my opinion. I didn't love how Darius Slay, after the Eagles got dump trucked by the Niners, went on his podcast and said, look, I'm not a bad tackler. I was putting forward effort in tackling. I've actually played well this year. I don't understand why this old head is calling me out. It's like, dude, y'all just got slapped upside the head, and you have played really bad football. And while Darius Slay has played solid, he's a part of a defense that is bottom 5 in basically every statistical category, as I noted a little bit earlier. And while Sean Desai hasn't really put this defense and the players in it in a position to succeed schematically, because what they're doing is high school stuff right now, lack of adjustments, lack of complex coverages, giving away what they're doing pre-snap, Darius Slay's a captain of this team. And I didn't really like how he was like, well, yeah, the team and us as the Eagles got crushed and got our asses handed to us, but I tackled well. I led the team in tackles. I've been playing well this year. He said the same thing this week about the fan putting his name on a trash can outside of the NovaCare complex. He said, look, my numbers this year have been really good, and me against the Dallas Cowboys last week on Sunday Night Football, we got our asses kicked again, but I played well. It's just not a good look to be saying that and spewing that type of nonsense when your team is playing so poorly and you've been a part of it. But when you look at Slay's Pro Football Focus numbers this year, an overall grade of 68.4, PFF says league average is 70, run defense grade 58.8, but they're not paying Darius Slay to be stout against the run. A coverage grade of 68.6. And then you look further at some of the other defensive numbers for Darius Slay. According to PFF, he's got 52 solo tackles, 4 assists, 0 forced fumbles. 14 stops isn't bad for a corner. 7 missed tackles. Seth Joyner probably loves that statistic. 2 interceptions, a passer rating allowed of 82.3, and yards per reception of 11.3. There's obviously so much to talk about with this Eagles defense. I never thought that we'd be saying this, but it kind of seems like the Eagles are missing Jonathan Gannon a little bit. Schematically, things were a little bit more tuned up with him as compared to Desai, but at the same time, When the Eagles beat the Miami Dolphins a little bit earlier this year and made some of the adjustments in game, and they pitched that second half shutout against the Kansas City Chiefs, and the defense came through with some clutch plays late and some big sacks late, we were crediting Sean Desai for some of that. And when you go through a gauntlet, coming off a Super Bowl run where you're playing deep into the season, you don't have as much rest, and then you have to go up against the Dolphins and the Cowboys and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and then Josh Allen and the Bills, San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys. That's that gauntlet there that we've been talking so much about. That one was really, really difficult. Two, you're going up against some really good quarterbacks and really good offenses. And three, you just look worn down a little bit. But again, schematically, what Sean Desai has done just hasn't made a lot of sense. Using Shaq Leonard as a blitzer last week instead of dropping him back in coverage. You brought in Shaq Leonard to help you in pass coverage because of his length, because of his ability to be a solid off-ball linebacker against the pass. Sending guys home in some of these blitz packages that probably shouldn't be blitzing. And there's some other stuff where you're just giving away pre-snap what you're doing. You're telling Dallas that you're in cover 0, and of course they're able to see that pre-snap while you're trying to disguise it, but your disguise is so awful that they're able to pick you apart. Eagles are giving up more than 90% in the red zone on touchdown conversions over the last couple of games. Third downs, they just literally can't stop anybody. And the pass rush, which had 70 sacks last year, just hasn't been the same unit as far as generating sacks. So there's so many issues that go into the Eagles' defensive issues. Darius Slay has been a part of that. He has played well, but without him, Eagles are certainly going to miss him. Getting through this game against Seattle is going to be difficult. Getting through the next few when you're playing the Giants twice and the Cardinals, not as challenging. But again, for Slay to be out, given the personnel of Seattle, is why this loss is going to be magnified and why this loss is as big as it is right now. So I do want to ask you here before we hop on out of here, can the Eagles still get the dub over Seattle? Everything can change with the victory over the Seahawks. It's doom and gloom in Philadelphia. Sports Talk Radio is on fire. The comment section here on Eagles Now has been electric, with people just spewing all types of takes that I absolutely love because the emotion and the intellect and the knowledge and the passion is just unmatched. And everybody thinks that this Eagles team, not everybody, but some, think that this Eagles team are fraudulent, especially the national media, who always like to pile on Philadelphia just because they hate the city in general. They're saying the Eagles are cooked. The Eagles are cooked. They're done. They're fried. They're phonies. They're not going to be a contender for the NFC. Everything can change with a win against the Seattle Seahawks. That mission is made a little bit more difficult without Darius Slay, but this coaching staff has shown under Nick Sirianni that when their backs are against the wall, when people are doubting this team, they rise up to the occasion. The leaders of this team have shown that they can battle through adversity. And given the leaders and the dogs in this locker room, I think that they have the DNA. They have the moxie. They have the makeup to be able to respond to some of these challenges here. And I think the Eagles will respond to this 2-game losing streak. Extra day of rest, I think, will really help this team. And then they can round out the regular season, get that momentum back, feeling good about themselves going into the playoffs once again. And they're still alive for the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed in the NFC East. All right, this has been Philadelphia Eagles Now. Appreciate everybody for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe. And we will be doing a watch party for Eagles Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Hope you all have a fantastic weekend. A lot of football today, a lot of football tomorrow, obviously, on Sunday. I'm going to be enjoying it. I hope you do as well, and I hope you're all enjoying the holiday season.